The HNoMS Hitra is a Royal Norwegian Navy submarine chaser that saw action during World War II. She is named after the Norwegian island of Hitra. History. Wartime service. The Hitra was originally built as a SC-497 class submarine chaser for the United States Navy. She was laid down on the 22nd of September 1942 by the Fisher Boat Works of Detroit and launched on the 31st of March 1943. She was commissioned into the U.S. Navy as SC-718 on the 25th of May 1943. In August 1943, U.S. Admiral Harold R. Stark, commander of U.S. Naval Forces Europe, ordered SC-718 and two other SC-class sub-chasers, SC-683 and SC-1061, to be transferred to Britain. Stationed in Miami at the time, the three sub-chasers received top-secret orders to report to Brooklyn Navy Yard, where they were to await further orders. When they arrived at the Naval Yard, the vessel's commanders were ordered to warn their crews to observe strict silence about the movements and were told that the three ships had been picked for a special purpose. The three sub-chasers were hoisted aboard three Liberty ships and secured as deck cargo, SC-718 being carried by the Liberty ship SS Willard Hall, and preparations made to transport them and the crews to an undisclosed location. It was only when the ships were underway that the crews were told that they were bound for Belfast. The ships arrived in Belfast in early October 1943, where the three sub-chasers were lifted back into the water, and on the 14th of October the three ships sailed up the Firth of Clyde to the U.S. Naval Base at Rosneath, where a group of exiled Norwegian sailors of the Shetland Bus Organization were awaiting the vessel's arrival. It was not until the three ships moored that the U.S. crews finally learned that the purpose of the journey was to train the Norwegians in the operation of the sub-chasers' equipment, and that upon completion of the training they were to hand the ships over to Norwegian command. The training lasted just a week, then the transfer of command was completed. After assuming command at Rosneath, the Norwegian crews sailed their new vessels first to Derry, and then to Scalloway in Shetland, where they completed the fitting out. The sub-chasers' depth charge racks, mousetrap anti-submarine rocket launchers, and K-gun depth charge projectors were removed, and an additional set of davits were installed so that each ship could carry two boats, whose motors were equipped with specially muffled exhausts for ultra-quiet running. They also removed one of the Lycon 20mm cannon from amidships and installed a 2-pounder gun aft and two Cal. 50 machine guns on the flying bridge. The ships were christened Hitra, Hessa and Vigra. The Hitra and her sister vessels superseded the famous fleet of civilian fishing boats that had formerly run naval operations between Shetland and Norway. During the final 2 years of World War II, the three ships performed a total of 114 missions to occupied Norway, and apart from one incident when a Canadian aircraft fired on Hessa, the voyages were uneventful and there were no casualties. For 43 of her 45 trips to Norway, the Hitra was under the command of Ingvald Eidsheim. Late in the war, an observer from Admiral Stark's office wrote, "It would be difficult to sum up the value of these three craft in their contribution to the hundreds of tons of stores and supplies have been delivered to resistance groups. An enemy plane has been shot down, countless agents have been taken in and out, and great numbers of marooned Allied airmen, including Americans, have been helped to evade the Gestapo. Despite very heavy weather, the ships have required minimum repairs." Post-war. After the war, the Hitra performed Coast Guard duties until 1953. All three submarine chasers were mothballed at Marvika and formally decommissioned. In 1959, She seemingly ended her days in Karlskrona, Sweden, when she sank after someone had opened the bottom valves. It was not until 1981, when the Soviet submarine U-137 ran aground, that HNoMS, the director of the Royal Norwegian Navy Museum in Horten, saw the abandoned Hitra in a newspaper image. Subsequently, she was raised and shipped back to Norway, where she was restored to her original condition in 1983 to 1987. Today, while still under naval command, the Hitra is a museum ship home-ported at Håkonsvern, Bergen, touring the Norwegian coast in the summer months.